Hi, it's Linda Pinizzato at the Condo Expert. Today I'm speaking with Saskia Matheson, the Director of Risk Management with Allstate Insurance Company of Canada. And you know, Saskia, that's an interesting point because that deductible could really put the building actually in hardships and as well the condo owners because the money has to come from somewhere.
Well, absolutely. And what we find is that although the majority of people, and certainly that we surveyed, they understand that for covering their belongings in their condo unit, their furniture, their clothes and computers, that's going to be their policy. This is a coverage, this is a risk to condo owners, unit owners, that a lot of people don't think about, which is that assessment that might come to them. They maybe think if the the board decides to upgrade the building, they might get an assessment. But what if there's a claim and the condo corporation policy either doesn't have sufficient liability to cover the damage, or they have a really big deductible that they've just recently changed.
So there's a shout out in the middle of all of this. There's actually a shout out. There's a shout out to all the board directors. And the reason I'm saying that is that if they now say, for instance, we're talking about an older building and, you know, they're quite happy with their deductible. They're quite happy with their policy and they just move on day to day and so on and so on. But now, of course, it's time for them to do a renovation, maybe in the lobby or common elements of the hallway or wherever the renovation is going to be done in retrospect of the reserve fund, because the study is showing that it can be done right now. I'm wondering if some of these board members are realizing that they really should be contacting the insurance company to increase their policy. I know they want to keep their budgets low, but I think that they have to have additional coverage, do they not, now that they've gone and done all these renovations?
Well, of course, they'd be looking at their commercial condominium corporation policy, but the same logic for condo boards goes to individual unit owners, which is when your circumstances change, they may not be the first person you think about talking to, but it's really important to talk to your insurance agent, your broker, and talk about what your needs are. You don't want to come up short in the event of a claim.
Well, there's been cases that we get them, you know, with the Condo Owners Association, we've gotten them where people, you know, certain parts within their unit, they're actually believing that it's part of the unit. Okay, but then what happens is they find out that they actually, meaning the condominium corporation, right. But then they find out that all of a sudden they own part of the piping, or they own, like the document is stating that they own the balcony.
Right.
There's parts and parcels in that condo document that nowhere did they ever dream that they would have to be responsible for those types of items.
Absolutely. Windows, balconies, as you say. How far from the pictures I hang on my wall out to that common hallway is my responsibility as a unit owner, and how much of it is the condo corporation's responsibility?
So let's take a for instance, say somebody's living on the 10th floor.
Right.
And, you know, they've left their bathtub running.
Right.
Okay. And that's an easy thing to do.
Sure.
It's not negligent or anything. They just left it running, answered the phone, whatever the case may be. And next thing you know, it flooded the bathroom area.
Yeah.
So now that water has seeped below.
Right.
Okay. Now the person below may not be an owner. It could be a tenant, for instance. Okay, so where's the process here?
Well, first of all, if that is, and as we say, it can happen to anybody, but legal liability isn't about being a bad person. It's about where your responsibility is in the courts. So if it's your bathtub that overflowed, that's your personal liability. If you have, one of the reasons you want to have that condo unit owners policy is precisely because it protects you from that liability. There's coverage. It's probably the cheapest coverage that you'll ever buy, the liability portion of that policy to protect you. There's some additional items, though, that complicate things because you're in a condominium. If the damage is to another unit, you're going to be held responsible. If the damage is to a common part of the building, the condo corporation policy may respond, but then they can in fact allocate back to that individual owner the entire deductible from their policy. So all of a sudden you say, well, but it was the common part of the building that got damaged. Why would that be my problem? That's part of the condo corporation. But in fact, if you're responsible, which you and your bathtub were in this circumstance, the deductible is going to come right back onto you. And you want to make sure that you're covered. That's not something most of us keep $10, $20, $30, $40,000 in the bank account just in case for.
Well, the problem too is that, like on the Condo Act side, is if there's any types of monies that are outstanding from a particular unit, say if it ran into that situation and you found yourself in a deductible where you have to reimburse the corporation,
right.
That corporation, the board of directors, they have full authority to request payment.
Absolutely.
And if you do not provide payment within a certain period of a time, they have the ability to put a lien against your property.
You know, it's interesting, Linda, when we talk about property insurance, condominiums are the one area where your liability as an individual owner is so much more important. Yes, you get liability coverage on a tenant's policy. Yes, you do on a homeowner's policy. And we do talk about that with customers. But those circumstances are so rare. Most people think about their belongings being stolen, there's a fire, there's something wrong with the sewage in their property. With condominiums, it's that intricate dance, as you well described, between the condo corporation and the unit owner that means you need that protection.
Oh, absolutely. Because you have to have another party speaking on your behalf. So I think at that point there, what would happen is that, for instance, Allstate Canada Insurance would actually be able to come back and deal directly with the condo corporation's insurance company. Or better yet, they may both be Allstate.
Right.
So, you know, that's an interesting point, Saskia, because I think at this point, if the condo corporation has their insurance company, as long as a condo owner or tenant or however the package is put together, Allstate Canada could actually work on their behalf when they're dealing directly with the condo corporation insurance company.
Well, you know, when you buy a policy and you get liability coverage, you're not just getting a promise to pay, you're getting somebody in your corner who's speaking on your behalf. And that's a really important added bonus of purchasing an insurance policy.
Well, absolutely, because even I know that the building policies right now, they're not just one company. Right now, it appears as if there are one or two or three that are actually grouping together because of the high values of these condo buildings. I mean, they're $80 million buildings, so it's just not one party.
Right.
So it would make it impossible for a condo owner to be able to deal with them directly without having the assistance of a company like Allstate.
Absolutely. I think that's really important. And there are a lot of complexities. I think we can bring it back down to some basics for condo unit owners or somebody who's purchasing a condo to rent out, which is there are some basic questions that you want to ask your condo corporation. You want to make sure that they have a policy. You want to make sure that the policy has a high enough liability limit that you're not going to get burned with the additional. You want to know what their deductible is. You want to know, for example, that their directors have directors liability. And so you're now in a building that is being responsibly run and under really good management. And then you want to make sure that your individual unit policy covers you for all those gaps, for any danger for your liability and for your belongings too. We don't want to underestimate the importance of insuring your stuff because we don't think our stuff is worth a lot until we try to replace our stuff.
Oh, absolutely. But you know, that's where the Condo Expert's all about, is information awareness. To be honest with you, as you know, I've been a realtor for 33 years, and I can't believe the lack of information out there, because people, they will buy the condominium, and people that want to live in condominiums, they prefer to have an easier lifestyle. They don't want to have to do the maintenance of the gardens and, you know, and sealing of the driveway or paving or rooftops or this or that or anything else. I mean, they want an easier lifestyle. So condominiums provides a wonderful lifestyle. It's not a negativity when we talk about things out there that could be of a concern. It's actually more of information awareness. So in this particular case, you know, it's fine and dandy to want to live a comfortable, easygoing lifestyle, but that doesn't mean that you have to negate things that are extremely important for you to have. Protection is, you know, second to none. You have to have it.
And information awareness that news you can use, the info you need to know. Very big, very near and dear to my heart. And it's part of what's behind our Get to Know Your Insurance campaign at Allstate Canada, and very much behind the Condo Hero campaign, which is you don't need to yourself be an expert, but you need some basic information, and you need to know your access to experts like yourself, Linda, on condominium, the Condo Owners Association, and experts like an Allstate agent or an insurance professional who can help you step through and make sure you don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to, you won't get a rude awakening one morning.
Absolutely, Saskia. Thank you for putting that out there, because it is. Right now I'm looking at your survey, and the survey that Allstate did is amazing. I'm going to quote it. 1/4 of condo owners, 22%, 3/4 of condo buyers, 74%, don't know what their personal insurance covers versus what the condo corporation's insurance covers. Then it gets broken down in Ontario. And I'm floored. And it stands to reason, because it goes all along the same signs as the Condo Act. And, I'm really glad that the Condo Hero is out there, because the other side of it is that between concierge and security, they have a heck of a job ahead of them here. I mean, just trying to stay on top of everything. Anytime that something gets reported in the building, they are involved, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
So what happens is that unfortunately, they need to be well adverse to the entire package as well, to some degree. I mean, they don't need the particulars of betterments and so on, but they certainly are going to be there, because chances are they're going to be a key witness of everything that's transpired, right?
Well, and this was, very much behind the whole idea of our contest, which is that we want to be there in case something goes wrong to help you through. But we know that we're just part of helping you through when something goes wrong. And a condominium building is very much a community, maybe more so than a lot of other communities. You're all in one building, and you are really all dependent upon each other. And those individuals, whether it's the concierge, whether it's the maintenance person, whoever it may be, they are pretty much first on the scene. They're your first line of defense in terms of making your life that lifestyle that you're looking for in the condo. So we wanted to celebrate those people who have your back as a condo owner or a unit resident.
Oh, absolutely. No, that is the key point. And, you look at mechanical things too. Like, one thing I'll throw out there is the fan coil units. That amazes me. See, a fan coil unit, a lot of times the board of directors, to alleviate the headache of every single owner going out and spending $10 and getting the filter changed and so on and calling somebody in, they'll make life easier. So what they'll do is they'll say, okay, fine, we're going to contract it. We're going to have the entire building, all the fan coil units, filters will be changed and inspected. And say, for instance, they notice that one area of that fan coil system has a leak. Well, that's now the owner's responsibility to go and get this repaired. And there's where you're getting confusion. It becomes confusion, because if you have a flood because of the fan coil, and all of a sudden all your laminate flooring is lifted.
And it's your responsibility because of that agreement. All of a sudden now it comes back on you as an owner. Absolutely.
And then your other side is you could say, okay, if the building is relatively new, you may be able to find the match.
Right.
But if you can't find the match, then we're talking about full replacement.
Sure. And let's face it, there are so many of those small items. They may individually be small items, but as a condo owner, they add up over time. So again, keeping insurance shouldn't be the thing that you spend 50% of your time worrying about. It should be something basic. You make a decision, one and done, and you know a few basics, and you leave it to your expert.
Exactly. Well, tell me, one thing I'm curious about, because this is a question that came up. If somebody owns a car and they have it in the underground, and something happens to their vehicle in the underground, okay, now is that under a homeowner's policy, or is that under their vehicle car policy?
It's and as you will know, the condominium corporation would very much, that would be one of the basics that their lawyers would put in place, which is that they are not responsible for items lost, damaged, stolen in either the parking garage or in the storage units of the condominium building. So now you're going back to your personal policy, and damage to your car is going to be covered under your vehicle policy if you've purchased that coverage. Most people do because they're buying a new car, a leased car, a financed car, so they have that coverage. That's where they're going for taking care of that issue.
Okay, so they'll have it on the car, but
Yeah.
then they wouldn't have it on their lockers.
Well, and they're on their lockers. If the belongings were stolen, then that's coming back under their personal unit policy. Yet another reason you want to be covered under your own policy, not just under the condominium corporation policy.
So if I take a building, I'm going to break it down for everybody. There's 300 condo owners. I'll guarantee you there's 200 condo storage units. You may have extremely expensive items. You may have irreplaceable items down there. You might have items that you don't really care about. But the bottom line is you're not insured if you do not have any unit condo insurance. We're speaking with Saskia Matheson. I'll be right back. It's Linda Pinizzato on the Condo Expert, sponsored by Bayshore Health.